This meeting will come to order. Thank you for coming today. I'm sorry we're starting a little late. Our study session ran a little long, and we need to take a break for a few minutes. So we'll get started, and hopefully we'll get this thing wrapped up pretty quick today and get you out of here. And if you haven't voted, you can vote. And if you already have voted, then you go to whatever party you want to afterwards.
Go vote again.
Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any introductions?
Wow. I can get even now, can't I? We ran late last time. Imagine what I could do this time. No, let's just get this over.
Okay. Thank you. Our invocation will be given by Mac McCarley, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilwoman Wilcox.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we bow our heads and raise our hearts to Thee at the beginning of the City Council meeting with love and gratitude in our hearts. We love Thee, Father, as we know Thou loves each one of us. And we're grateful, Father. We express our gratitude to Thee. We're grateful for this wonderful community that we live in, all the friends that we have. We're grateful that we can gather together and learn from each other and fellowship with each other. Father, we ask for a blessing upon our city leaders, that as they study the affairs of our community, that they will be led by Thy Spirit, and that their decisions will be according to Thy will. Father, today we ask for a special blessing on all the employees of the city of Prescott. Bless their families, bless their little ones, that everyone can live and work in safety and happiness. And now, Father, as we start this meeting, we pray Thy Spirit will be with us, and we offer this prayer in humility and in gratitude. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
On this most important day under our Constitution in this country, please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Oberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lamerson.
Here.
Councilman Blair.
Yes.
Councilman Lozelle is absent excused. Councilwoman Orr.
Here.
Councilman Shiska.
Here.
Councilwoman Wilcox.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. City Manager, do you have any announcements?
No, I do not, sir.
Okay, we'll move on with proclamations.
First proclamation proclaiming November 12th through the 20th, 2016 as National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And Matthew Phillips is here to accept.
Hi, would you like to join right here, Matthew? It's nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Proclamation. National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. Whereas for the past several years, the National Coalition for the Homeless and the National Student Campaign Against Hunger and Homelessness have sponsored National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And whereas the purpose of this proclamation is to educate the public and advocate with and on behalf of the people experiencing homelessness about the many reasons people are hungry and homeless, and to encourage support for the homeless assistance service providers, as well as community service opportunities for students and school service organizations. And whereas there are many organizations committed to sheltering, providing supportive services as well as meals and food supplies to people experiencing homelessness. And whereas the theme of National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week 2016 is Food for Thought. And whereas the community recognizes that hunger and homelessness continues to be a serious problem for many individuals and families in Prescott, Arizona. Whereas the intent of National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is consistent with the activities of U.S. Vets Prescott. Therefore, Harry Oberg, Mayor of the City of Prescott, does hereby proclaim November 12th through the 20th, 2016, as National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And he encourages all citizens to recognize that many people do not have the housing and need support from citizens and private, public, nonprofit service entities. Thank you very much for what you do. Would you like to speak?
Sure, thank you. First of all, U.S. Vets Prescott would like to thank Council and Mayor Oberg for your proclamation. Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is held each year the week before Thanksgiving. This is a time for us all to think about what we need to be thankful for. A perfect time to reflect on homelessness and work towards a world where no one has to experience hunger or homelessness. By the City of Prescott passing this proclamation, our community is part of a national social movement. U.S. Vets' mission is and always will be to eradicate homelessness by solving the root cause of it. But as we journey towards this goal, we will continue to pave it with compassion, practical solution, and community cooperation and support. Thank you for allowing U.S. Vets Prescott to continue to bring light to this issue and allowing me to speak with you today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mayor, thank you for giving me this proclamation.
Elizabeth Black.
Hi. Yes, I am a proud member of the Board of Trustees of Yavapai Regional Medical Center, and this is a proclamation for Patient Blood Management Awareness Week, November 7th through 11th, 2016. Whereas the City of Prescott is pleased to join Yavapai Regional Medical Center, located in our city, as it celebrates Patient Blood Management Awareness Week, November 7th through 11th, 2016. And whereas Yavapai Regional Medical Center is staffed by professionals with a commitment to improving patient outcomes through optimal blood management. And whereas patient blood management is the appropriate provision and use of blood, its components and derivatives, and strategies to reduce or avoid the need for a blood transfusion. And whereas Patient Blood Management Awareness Week speaks to the concerns of every person to have the best health care available to them, respecting individual preferences and beliefs, and continuing education of healthcare professionals to provide that care. And whereas Yavapai Regional Medical Center is staffed by professionals with a commitment to improving patient outcomes and educating the medical community about the best practices in blood management. And whereas we commend the members of Yavapai Regional Medical Center for extending themselves in service to others according to their commitment of improving patient outcomes. Now therefore, Harry Oberg, Mayor of the City of Prescott, does hereby proclaim November 7th through 11th, 2016 as Patient Blood Management Awareness Week.
Somebody's not getting a good view here. On behalf of Yavapai Regional Medical Center, our Patient Blood Management Program Medical Director, Dr. Pierre Tibby, and our Program Coordinator, Dale Black, I do want to express our appreciation so much for this proclamation because we do feel it raises awareness of the importance of this program. The program supports the philosophy that the hospital has that every drop of blood counts. Certainly the blood of those that are donating, and that's something that has decreased nationally in many areas of the world, but this country too, but also the blood that's in each patient. Our goal through this program is to keep it in you, to keep it strong, oxygenating, coagulating as it should, so that you could hopefully never be in a position that you would need the blood of another human. So I think of it as if my doctor said to me, with this treatment we can keep your lungs working well versus you need a lung transplant. I'd rather hear that first thing. And blood has been called a liquid organ transplant, so it is very serious to be in that position. So we're very happy to be part of this program. We're getting good results. We're 4.5 years almost into it, and we're just going to keep getting better and better at it. And thank you so much for your support.
Here, here.
Okay, we'll start with presentations.
Item A, Chamber of Commerce, introduction of new businesses.
It's Neil.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Neil Sneller, and I'm the Membership Director for the Prescott Chamber. Our next mixer is next Thursday, the 17th, at BBVA Compass Bank on Gurley. Everyone is invited, but we encourage you to bring a generous donation to help restock the Yavapai Food Bank. Hard to believe, but the 34th annual Christmas parade is just around the corner. This year's theme is All We Want for Christmas. We're still accepting parade applications. If you visit our website at prescott.org, you can download an application. On Tuesday, November 29th, be sure to be downtown because for that evening you can get a sneak peek of the courthouse lighting as they do their final testing. Many of you may have already seen ads or materials for Small Business Saturday. This year's theme is Show Love, Shop Small. Now, this is a national campaign started by American Express in 2010, but the Chamber here promotes it locally, and we encourage folks to spend their holiday dollars here in Prescott. Now, in the spirit of small businesses, I'm proud to introduce a new Chamber member and a new local business owner. Montoya Wealth Management is located in Superlative Professional Plaza, and they just celebrated their grand opening with a ribbon cutting. Here to tell you more about his new company is the owner, Brandon Montoya.
Mr. Mayor and City Council members, thank you for the time to introduce myself and my business. I've been a resident of Prescott for, since I was 13, so it's been about 16, 17 years now. Really excited about my business. Montoya Wealth Management, as you might understand from the name, is an investment firm. And in light of the government's recent Department of Labor ruling establishing a stronger fiduciary standard for managing retirement assets, I decided to start my own firm to further that kind of greater standard of care for managing retirees' assets. And I've been operating with that standard of care for most of my past 5 years in financial services, but this company that I've started allows me to do that to a greater degree and with a greater sense of service to my clients as well. So I'm very excited to have my business, and I want to specifically thank the Chamber of Commerce for their support and all of the City of Prescott. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next presentation.
Introduction of Prescott Fire Auxiliary members. Chief Light.
It's going to be rather awkward for myself as well, but Mayor and Council, first off, if most of you recall, back in early in this current calendar year, we explored the opportunity to perhaps use fire auxiliary members to kind of round out some of our non-emergent needs within the City of Prescott. That was first discussed internally in our organization in January, presented before you all in April. We moved forward with a solicitation for community members that are interested in volunteering their services to serve on our auxiliary in August. And today, I'm pleased to announce, as of yesterday, we've commenced with our unveiling of our community services unit. And tonight, I'd like to invite up on stage here just to introduce them briefly. Some of these faces are probably familiar faces to the community, whereas others may be new to you all. Over the last couple days, I've gotten to know them, but I think we have the right skill sets in the right position to do us some good for this community, and really at the right cost. Zero cost, other than outfitting them with a little bit of professional attire to make sure they are representative of us. So with that, I'd like to invite up Seymour Petrovsky, Mark Dillon, Jerry Cowell, Peter Nye, Mark Harlan, and Joe Ray. Please join me up front. Just a little bit about the process. As we went through some of the selection criteria, we had pretty overwhelming support of folks that were expressed an interest to come work with the Prescott Fire Department. And at our opening back in August, we had about 18 folks express an interest. I'm one that wants to make sure we gauge the program to fit the need. And right at the moment, we've kind of focused in two general areas. One is not home business, but self-inspections that are available. Thank you. Maybe not. We'll try. Is it working? Okay, a little bit about some of the inspection stuff that's much underdue and needed in this community. And second to that is doing some of the pre-fire planning in order to better enhance the availability of our folks that respond to emergencies on a day-to-day basis. And these 6 gentlemen were narrowed down from a pool of 12 initially, at which time we plan to grow it over time, but it takes some baby steps to make the big giant leap. So with that, welcome. These are the new members of the City of Prescott Community Services Unit.
Well, thank you. I appreciate those folks stepping forward, and it's always great to see a lot of people in this community that are willing to give their time freely, and we appreciate all the efforts that you've put together. Chief, thanks for everything. Yep. Consent agenda?
Consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes for the October 25th council meetings. Item B, approval of amendment number 1 to professional services agreement with the Aaron's Company LLC for lobbying services. Item C, approval of final plat FP 16-002 for phases 1A, 1B, and 2 for Walden Ranch Planned Area Development owner, James 110 Investments LLC. Item D, approval of a license agreement for the existing Prescott Youth Hockey Association Incorporated inline skating rink. Item E, approval of city contract number 2017-170 with American Fence Company for the purchase and repair of sport field fencing at various park locations using state of Arizona pricing. Item F, approval of amendment number 1 with Charlie Pepper Incorporated for the purchase of course sail to be utilized at the airport water reclamation facility. And item G, approval of purchase of initial online subscription agreement with LexiPool LLC for implementation of new police manual and daily training modules.
You do have a motion?
Mayor, I recommend that we move to approve consent agenda items 9A through 9G.
Second.
You have a motion, second vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
Liquor agenda?
Item 10A1. This is a public hearing in consideration of a new liquor license application for a Series 13 Farm Winery liquor license from Jeffrey Lee Herbert, applicant for Superstition Meadery located at 6676 Inner Calway. Mayor and Council, this is a request for a new Series 13 Farm Winery liquor license. The Police Department has reviewed the application and found it to be in compliance with state law. Community Development Department has reviewed the application, and it's in compliance with zoning and requirements and building safety issues. And then the Sales Tax and Licensing Department has reviewed the application, and there are no outstanding balances or issues. The application and license fees have been paid, and the application has been posted at the proposed location for the required 20 days. No public comments have been received, and the applicant is in attendance. If you'd like to come up.
Why don't you come on down? Tell us what you're doing.
We currently have a winery in downtown Prescott. It's called Superstition Meadery. It's a working winery with an adjacent tasting room, and we have outgrown the space. We're going to keep the existing tasting room as the Arizona liquor laws allow 2 satellite tasting rooms per series licensed winery. So we're building a 3,700 square foot facility in the air park to meet the needs of everything we're doing, which is great.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate having your business.
All right, thanks. Any questions? All good?
Any public comment? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Have motion and second vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
Mayor, I also move to approve for liquor license number 133053 for a Series 13 farm winery liquor license for Superstition Meadery located at 6678 Intercal Way.
Second.
Yeah, motion and second vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
Item B.
Item 10B1, public hearing and consideration of a person transfer liquor license application for a Series 6 bar liquor license from Robert Dale Hopper, applicant for the Final Score Sports Bar and Grill located at 1011 Commerce Drive, Suite A and B. This is a request for a new Series 6 person transfer bar license. The police department has reviewed the application and found it to be in compliance with state law. Community Development Department has reviewed the application and it's in compliance with zoning requirements and building safety issues, and the Sales Tax Licensing Division has reviewed it, and there are no outstanding balances. The application and licenses fees have been paid, and the application has been posted at the proposed location for the required 20 days. No public comments have been received, and the applicant is in attendance.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Robert Hopper. I moved out here about 10 years ago and frequented this bar for a long time. My wife actually works there. We decided to purchase this bar and keep it going the same way it is. It's mainly pretty good sports bar. We do a lot of food sales. If you ask around town, probably 90% of the people will say we have the best burgers in town.
I agree.
And I really don't want to change much. I want to keep it the same and keep the atmosphere, and that's about it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being your presence here. Is there any public hearing? Public comment? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Have motion and second vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
Do you have a second motion?
Mayor, I move to approve liquor license application number 061-30023 for a Series 6 bar liquor license for the Final Score Sports Bar and Grill.
Second.
Located at 1011 Commerce Drive, Suite A and B.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
I guess you want to get back over there for our hamburgers?
They're very good. They're very good, yes.
All right, regular agenda.
Item 11A, award of 5 contracts for the purchase of waterworks materials to maintain the city's water system in amount not to exceed $293,544.39. Water Fund.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Craig Dotseth, Utilities Manager. The item I bring before you today is for the annual purchase of materials to maintain the water system. There are 5 separate vendor contracts proposed, representing the low bid pricing of the 19 material groups to assure the best value for water material purchases. Additional funds are also proposed on each contract to allow for purchases of materials not anticipated on the bid list, and they will be procured by requesting 3 quotes anytime they're needed. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Question, comments from the council? Any public comment? Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move to award city contract number 2017-165 to Arizona Waterworks in the amount of $27,552.43.
Second.
City.
I think we have to read the whole thing, don't we?
City contract number 2017-166 to Dana Kepner Company, Inc., in the amount of $75,146.99. City contract number 2017-167 to Farnsworth Wholesale in the amount of $25,625. City contract number 2017-168 to Ferguson Waterworks in the amount of $21,766.94. And finally, City Contract Number 2017-169 to HD Supply in the amount of $143,453.03.
I'll second that one, too.
Okay, I got a motion and second. Vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
Item B.
Item B, public hearing and adoption of ordinance number 5009-1547 for rezoning RZ 16-003, proposed change of land use for multiple properties generally located south of West Goodwin Street and contiguous to a portion of Bridge Street, Spring Street, and South McCormick Street, amending the zoning from business general to downtown business district.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Frank Hall with Community Development. This application for a rezoning from business general to downtown business district started with an applicant talking about moving a restaurant that's already existing in town to this location where the liquor barn used to be, as all of you know or may know, went out of business right here on Goodwin Street. When the business went out, a new business wanted to move in. However, when they came to pre-application for that new business, we realized that the new business could not meet the off-street parking requirements because there's only about 15, 17 parking spaces on that site. So the applicant chose to apply for rezoning from business general to downtown business district. The existing business general boundary circled here compared to the existing downtown business district is shown in yellow. So we're talking about this T-shaped piece here. Since the applicant proposed to initially just rezone one property, right about where that G is, where the liquor barn used to be, you can see there's Roosing Square, the bicycle rental shop. Planning staff, myself, asked her to reach out to other businesses in this T-shaped area to see who else would like to join the rezoning application, because rezoning one single parcel is not as good planning practice as it would be to rezone a contiguous block of land. As a result of the applicant's outreach, several of the property owners within that T-shaped boundary chose to participate in the rezoning application. So as you can see the differences between the two, we have the existing business general here, and then the ones in purple, which would match the downtown business district zoning, chose to participate in that original rezoning application. We took the application before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they agreed to, or motioned to recommend approval of the rezoning application. I believe it was a 5-to-1 vote in favor of recommending the rezoning application. It's also important to point out that the rezoning application is consistent with the 2015 general plan and the land use plan. Both the downtown business district and the business general zoning districts are under the land use designation of, quote, commercial. So there is no needed change to the 2015 general plan. This oriented business, it's pedestrian-oriented businesses in the downtown, as we know. A lot of people in the downtown business district walk to restaurants, walk to the bars, walk to the retail stores, and this seemed like a logical transition for that, given this general plan support of pedestrian activity in the downtown business district. I know the applicant is here, and if there's any questions, I'm certainly here for you.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, it looks like Councilwoman Orr.
Yeah, I just want to thank the Community Department and Planning and Zoning for working with these folks downtown. This is a great solution. It's an example of a way to find a yes rather than saying, sorry, we can't do it. So thank you for going the extra mile.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Councilwoman Wilcox.
So a total of 59 spaces are required for a restaurant of this size, but there are only 17.
Correct.
That leaves 42 parking spaces short. Where will all those customers park?
It's a good question. One of the things to think about is, yes, for a restaurant use, there is one space is required for every 100 square feet of floor area. Since this happens to be a 5,900 square foot building, that equates to 59 parking spaces. If it was an office use, it would be 1 space per 300 square feet. Again, would require close to, what's that, it comes out to 1 space per 359, it's quite a few more than what's actually on site. So whatever business goes in here, whether it's 1 space per 100, 1 space per 2 or 3, there's not enough parking for pretty much any business that would want to locate on this site. I made this little map to kind of give a feel for the downtown business district. This is approximately the location of the site we're talking about, the street frontage along Goodwin Street. We have the Granite Street parking garage, which is less than 1,000 feet away from this proposed site. It's often not full, so there's plenty of room there for off-street parking. There is off-street parking on every street within the downtown business district. Some streets are one side, most streets are two-sided parking. The other thing to think about from a planning perspective is the north, south, east, west depth of the downtown business district boundary currently is about a half a mile. So even if you had a business over here, you're walking a half a mile to any point of the downtown business district. The addition of this space within the downtown business district will not change that half-mile boundary. It's a small sliver. It will keep it basically within the same acceptable walking distance that exists today. So there are plenty of on-street parking and the parking garage itself.
I would imagine, though, that the logical place people are going to go is across the street in the Plaza West parking shopping center. Are any of those businesses open during the restaurant hours?
Yes, ma'am. They are.
So this is going to impact the store owners in Plaza West.
They would have to regulate the parking as they would today. I know that they have parking with our festivals and events that the city sponsors. People park in that lot now that aren't really supposed to. So it's not a new problem. It already happens. People park in there to walk downtown. They may stop and have lunch and then walk to an event and leave their car there for hours. So that's an existing problem, not a new one.
Okay. Councilman Blair.
Not my business, but as somebody that might want to be in business, why in the world would you want to look at a building that doesn't have any parking, number one? Just from my standpoint, there's the same restaurant right across from the post office, and the parking lot's full all the time, and the business is half empty. I think that's a double whammy. Question I would have to ask is, next door to that facility we're talking about with the parking already existing, there's a dirt lot next door to that. Does that mean if I own that piece of property, I could put any size building I wanted on there with no parking?
If the code were to allow, if this were to get rezoned to downtown business district, there are certain uses in business types, such as restaurants, retail, bars, that type of thing outlined in the land development code that would be allowed to fill that parcel up and not have to provide the off-street parking. That's correct. Especially for businesses. Normally it's for business prior to 1968, but new businesses also. And as far as the restaurant goes, we like to look at it as a market-driven thing. If the restaurant owner believes that her customers and her experience with her restaurant, how it functions, will work with that level of parking and the off-street and the walking distance to her customers, it's sort of a market-driven decision on their part from the planning perspective.
Councilman Shishka.
You know, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here because I love the local. It's got great food. But one of the problems I have with the whole situation is that there's also a hairdresser in that same center. And a lot of the hairdressers' customers are older women. And they're not going to walk 2 blocks or 3 blocks or whatever it takes to get to that business. And so I need to know what's going to happen in that center to protect that business that's been there.
That would be a good question for the applicant and the business owner. I would imagine they would want to designate certain parking spaces for that hairdresser shop.
Okay. And how many parking spaces? Is it parking on both sides of the street?
On Goodwin Street?
Yes.
There used to be parking on only one side. The no parking signs on the south side of Goodwin Street have been removed. So yes, there is. They are not clearly delineated along the south side of Goodwin Street, but parking is allowed on the south side of Goodwin Street.
Okay, are you going to delineate them?
That would be up to the Public Works Department, I believe, as they move forward with capital improvement programs to improve Goodwin Street and Summit, that a delineation of parking spaces would be important.
Okay. You know, I would certainly appreciate this project if, in fact, parking spaces could be delineated, if, in fact, Park Plaza was protected. And, you know, like I said, I love the local. I'd like to see them succeed.
Great.
But I also don't want to see the other businesses in that center be subject to problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I have a sensitivity on private property rights. I mean, this isn't a piece of public property. This is private property. And like Shiska, you know, somebody owns the property and they have a right not to want other people just because somebody isn't parking on his property or her property or whatever the case, tenant's property, for somebody else just to plop a business and start parking on private property. That's an issue. If there's a way to channel people on the public property, you know, the public property along the streets and the parking garage and stuff like that, that's one thing. But I know I lease property. I want somebody parking in my spot. They will be towed. I can appreciate the sensitivity of a private property owner saying, hey, you don't have a right to use my property without my permission. That permission may come at a cost or it may come with an agreement. But they need to work that out before we just give somebody the right to go park on somebody's private property. Frank, I'm surprised that we haven't had a little bit more sensitivity to the potential cause and effect impact on an existing local piece of private property. I mean,
well, and certainly not to debate with you, sir, but respectfully, we are not saying that the customers from this proposed restaurant are allowed to park. No one has ever said that from government, that you are allowed to park across the street. Matter of fact, we've said just the opposite.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to extrapolate that out. Okay, because they are subject to legal ramifications for trespassing.
So that never has been a proposal. And as far as sensitivity to the public knowing, this project has been advertised twice. It has been in the newspaper twice. We have had several discussions at Planning Commission publicly advertised. And the mailings, we've sent out over 100 mailings to adjoining property owners. Someone may say they didn't receive it, but I know personally that all the letters went out to proper addresses and zero, came back returned. So the notice got out, so the opportunity for outreach to us as a community development department, me as the planner assigned to this project, was certainly present for over the last 4 months. And I heard no negatives.
And I appreciate your comments, Frank.
Yes, sir.
But here again, you know, we're sitting up here, and I want it publicly acknowledged. There are legal ramifications if you trespass on somebody's property or plop your car in the middle of somebody's parking lot without somebody's permission.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we never advocated for that, not once. And in fact, just the opposite.
Councilman Orr? Councilwoman Orr, I'm sorry.
I would add, you know, this is very close. I mean, a lot of us we're hoping that Prescott is a walking city. We encourage people to go and to walk and in our city, and so certainly this is so close to our parking garage, 1,000 feet. It's not that far. I park all the time when businesses that I go to. You know, I can't park there because they're designated parking. I think that's something. There's a solution to this, and I think if that is something that can be done, because this will add, I think, greatly to our downtown area. I mean, it's not just this one restaurant either. We're really talking about other businesses that want this step to be taken. I appreciate it. In fact, there's a list of 8 businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the council? Well, I think one of the things that concerns me is apparently this building, due to its size, never had the proper parking already designated for it. So I'm willing to support this because as far as I'm concerned, you know, I think we have to try and utilize the spaces we have in town and not just have empty stores. And, you know, I think like in most places in town, in the downtown business district, people work out places that they can park and they don't cause problems. So I'm willing to support this. Would the owner like to come up and say a little bit about your business and why you need to move?
Sure. Thank you. I'm Cheryl Strong.
Robert Mackey.
We're the owners of the local. And we've been looking for a year to move to closer to the downtown area. Our business is well outgrown its small space that it's in. And we've looked at several locations that haven't worked for various reasons. And we actually looked at the liquor bar a while ago and decided it might be too big. And then upon further reflection and working with the owner of the building, we are not the owners of the building, so we're not the one asking for this rezone. She is the one asking. We made it work for what we thought we could do and bring to the downtown. So we want to expand and have a full bakery, a full espresso bar, a delivery service, and a grab and go for the downtown area. We feel that there's a much needed, a lot of people have luncheons at their offices, real estate companies have clients, and they have meetings, banks have meetings, title companies have meetings, a lot of downtown businesses, and we want to provide a service that's not provided right now, which is delivery. And we do already do that now, but we'd like to take that to the next level. We also, you know, if you're downtown and you want to grab a quick lunch, where do you go? So we are going to cultivate healthy food, tasty food, grab and go, come in and get it. So we feel that we are bringing something to the downtown area that's needed and not available. And as far as parking goes, I think totally I went and counted, there's 29 parking spaces at that particular, in the lot itself. A couple of them are sort of hard to access. I will say that the salon is excited to have us there. They do know that we're looking at it. And we are so willing to make sure that they have designated spaces for their clients. And we would cultivate an atmosphere of letting our clients know they cannot park across the street, that it is private parking. And we would give them the options of the parking garage or in front of our, you know, where they're going to designate parking spaces. We'd make sure that our customers were compliant. We would not want to cause any trouble for anybody. And if people are already parking across the street that shouldn't be there, are they being towed? I don't know, but we would certainly not encourage our customers to do that. I am very strong feel that way, that we want everyone to be successful in everywhere, in any business, and we would do whatever it took to make sure that our customers knew not to abuse any parking that isn't okay for them to park in. And we're excited to come downtown.
Yeah. Excited to have you.
Thank you. Any questions for them? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment?
Mayor and Council, I appreciate you hearing me this afternoon. I am the owner of Park Plaza Shopping Center. If I'm short of breath, I've got a respiratory.
Okay, could you give us your name?
John A. Phillips. I live at 500 South Hacienda Drive. We own the property across the street, Park Plaza Shopping Center. The gentleman was talking about the impact on the neighborhood. I'm going to speak from 5 decades of experience at Park Plaza, okay? That building across the street was a bowling alley, then it was a yellow front, it was a music store. For 42 years, we've had problems with parking. I don't care what your tenant says, that they're going to prevent their employees or tenants or customers from parking. They do park in our parking lot. On a daily basis, I have to ask people to move. Same thing with McCormick building across the street. They park in our parking lot. If you look at the number of parking lot spaces on Goodwin Street, there are 17 spaces on the north side of the street, none on the south. If you go right now in the afternoon, if you go on McCormick Street from Goodwin Street to Beach Street, it's totally full. The street from McCormick to Granite Street on both sides is totally full. So we have 17 spaces. Right now, if you were to go in the middle of the day, what I did is I averaged the number of times over the last 2 weeks when I was here. There are 9 cars parked on the north side of the street. That leaves 8 spaces available. They've got 17, but when you look at the other businesses, the Randy at the video store and the beauty school, or the beauty salon, they would have no parking whatsoever. So if you have a 5,900 square feet building, that would only leave 17 customers in your, or 34 customers, average 2 per car. I know right now, I own a restaurant across the street. I have no problems with restaurants because, as Steve knows, I have 4 restaurants in my shopping center. So it's not a problem with competition. It's the problem is that I worry about unintended consequences. Is that, I will give you an example. I had a problem a few years ago with employees of that area parking in my parking lot. And I asked the gentleman that said he was the owner of the business, I said, I have a problem with this. Can you do something? And his words were, it's none of my business. You hire a security guard and you prevent those people from parking in your parking lot. After 42 years of business in there, I don't think I should have to protect my property. I think that what we're doing is unintended consequences, and I think that what happens is the owner of the property should extend himself to maybe buying that piece of vacant property to the west and putting a parking lot to provide parking for his customers. I, in my shopping center, even though I am in the downtown parking district, I have 221 spaces. I'm required to only have 181. And to show you how proactive some business owners are, Nick Maloof, who owns the building on the corner of McCormick and Gurley, leases 15 spaces from me, even though he's in the downtown business district, because he realizes the importance of providing parking for his customers, his tenants, his employees at his cost and not the city of Prescott's cost. So I worry about unintended consequences, not about the business, but down the road, what happens is we get a high density business in there that needs 100 spaces. They're not going to park in the parking garage. I know right now that after 42 years in that area, people are not going to walk from that garage to a restaurant. They're not going to walk from down on Granite Street to a restaurant because they don't do it right now. Any questions?
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I think you're on planning and zoning, right, Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm the liaison, and the planning and zoning looked at this, and it was a, if I'm not mistaken, a 5-to-1 vote. I think there was somebody absent that day, and they vetted it pretty good. And the issue still remains. We have a general plan trying to promote things downtown, revitalization of downtown, somebody wanting to bring in a business downtown. Everything's good except for one thing. Same thing it's been for many, many years, and that's parking. And how do you resolve the parking? And who's it incumbent upon to resolve the parking? Now, while there's a number of public parking places around this particular proposed business, the business owners, customers, still don't have the privilege of trespassing on somebody else's property. On the other hand, that piece of property is also open to the public. And I haven't seen it to where they've said, no public, welcome on my property, because they're also addressing other customers of the other stores that are on that property. And it's a dilemma. I can appreciate Mr. Phillips' concerns and his current tenants' concerns, but I can also understand that we do provide parking. We provide a parking garage. We provide public parking places. We do all of that, all the way around. I have the same issue downtown. And I've had people towed off my property at my expense because they stole. It's called a theft of services. Just because I'm not parked there doesn't give them the freedom to come steal my parking place. So I have them towed.
Yep. Any other questions or comments from the council? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, I recommend that we move to adopt ordinance number 5009-1547.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Passes 5-1. Councilwoman Wilcox dissenting.
Next item.
Item C, approval to allocate up to $25,000 to the development of pickleball courts at Pioneer Park.
Right.
I can't help that.
Mayor and Council, I won't go into great detail on this since we just talked about it at the study session, but essentially this is a discussion and possible action regarding allocating up to $25,000 in matching funds. I want to emphasize the matching part. And it has been proposed that those funds could come equally $12,500 out of general fund and $12,500 out of the transient occupancy tax. And with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I think there was a consensus during the study session that we wanted the funding to come entirely from the bed tax. So I think if we have a motion that we need to look at ensuring that we make that correction. Is there any questions, comments from the council?
I have one.
Okay.
I'm a no vote unless it all comes out of the bed tax.
Okay. Any others from the council?
Well, I'd say the same thing, but I'd just as soon vote and get it over with.
Okay, do I have any comments from the public? Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I would like to recommend that we move to allocate up to $25,000 from the Transient Occupancy Bed Tax Fund for construction of pickleball courts and related amenities at Pioneer Park.
Second.
Yeah, motion and second vote, please.
Passes 6-0.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
For people that weren't in our study session, again, I just want to publicly acknowledge the Prescott Pickleball Association, Peg Travers, Rita Kavanaugh, all of you for all that you're doing. This is a wonderful gift to our city that will be enjoyed for generations. So thank you. And it's a beginning step. Good job.
Item D.
Item D, adoption of ordinance numbers 5013-551 and 5014-1552. Ordinance number 5013-1551, an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Prescott, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending the Prescott Land Development Code, Article 2, Table 2.3, Use Table to permit vacation rentals of single and multifamily dwellings, and Article 11, Definitions, Table 11.2.5, regarding the definition of the term vacation rental or short-term rental. And ordinance number 5014-1552, an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Prescott, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending Prescott City Code Title 4 Business Regulations by adding a new Chapter 4-9 Vacation Rentals.
Mayor and Council, we presented this item at a study session 2 weeks ago. The major difference is that we discovered that I think when we presented last time, we said there would be 3 ordinances before you. We determined that the current building code requirements are sufficient to deal with inspections of vacation rentals as a transient use. In other words, our current building code allows us to do inspections for working smoke detectors, proper ingress, egress, those kinds of things. So there is not, so just to make it clear, we are not backing away from the idea that vacation rentals will have to have sort of that stepped up level of inspection because of the nature of their transient use. It's that our current building code already provides for that. So the 2 ordinances you have before you are an amendment to the zoning code. And just to make it clear, this amendment to the zoning code is pretty much a perfunctory decision because the state legislature has determined that we must allow vacation type rentals in our residential zones, both single and multifamily. The second ordinance in front of you hasn't changed significantly. It made a few cleanups based on the study session, but it really lays out, even though it's in Title IV business regulations, it doesn't really set a high number of actual regulations affecting use. The only real regulation is the occupant load, the 2 + 2 per bedroom. Other than that, really what it does is it in addition to the business license, what it does is it has a sort of an added feature of additional information that we're going to ask vacation rental operators to provide to us so that we can respond promptly to complaints of noise or trash or parties or other kind of disruptive things that, again, that's not exclusive to vacation rental type use. People who rent homes, who own homes, can have the same type of problem, but the nature of vacation rentals tends to have a greater impact on single family and multifamily residential districts. Just note that these regulations apply only to vacation rentals in residential zones, so that if there are residential uses or homes in commercial type zones or business zones, those aren't regulated by this because they're in a commercial area. So this again is very directed towards helping to mitigate the impact of vacation type short-term rentals on residential neighborhoods. So again, it is a part of this process will be, if this is adopted, the next step will be for the council to adopt by resolution an application fee and then an annual ongoing fee. I think we estimated it's going to be about $100. And the primary purpose of that is to, one, cover the cost of the staff time of receiving and reviewing the applications for the permit. But the second part will be, and this will come before you probably before the end of the year, is to hire an outside vendor to help monitor compliance and provide an 800 number hotline to send out a mailing to the neighbors within 300 feet indicating that there is a vacation rental in the neighborhood, just to sort of create an awareness that there is a vacation rental. If you have problems with vacation rental, you can call this 800 number. It will also, this company will also help assist us in tax compliance and and other kinds of code type issues. So that's what the $100 will cover. So it really should be a full cost recovery to do that. Again, some of the basics of this thing are the application will require a 24/7 contact person for the vacation rental operator, either the operator, him or herself, or a real estate type agent, so that if there, and then also the converse of that is an 800 number hotline that neighbors can call if there are disturbances or problems. They call this 800 number. The 800 number then calls the contact person to basically quash the problem, either by phone to the responsible person on the vacation renter side, or by going in person. And the time frame is a half hour to 45 minutes. That's sort of the target for that kind of response in order to sort of deal with those problems quickly. And the reason for that is if this happens on a weekend, for instance, code enforcement really isn't available. And we're trying to kind of get away from the police department response if it's not an emergency type call. So it manages our resources better to have this sort of 800 number service. These are live people, by the way, who will be answering the phones. Beyond that, like I said, the only real regulation in this particular ordinance is the occupant load, which is consistent with our group home, essentially consistent with our group home occupant load. And beyond that, all of the other city code issues, building code, disruptive property, nuisance property, the trash cans coming in and out, all those things continue to apply just like they would to any other property in residential zones. So with that, happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I sent you a number of emails that we got where people had some issues. Do you think you've adequately addressed all those issues?
I believe we have. We met with a real estate broker who purports to represent sort of this loose coalition of vacation rental operators. And I think the primary concern that was raised in that is, and I sent him a copy of the draft ordinance and hadn't heard anything back. In fact, is Mike Klein here today? No, I don't see him. So I informed him of the meeting today, and if the operators and he had any issues he wanted to raise, I suggested he come. But really the only primary concern once we actually discussed the ordinance was to, the concern was if we in our 300-foot notice identify the actual street number and address of the property, that people will know that it's a property that may be vacant at times, and it's subject to perhaps a break-in or burglary or something like that. So I think the practical solution to that is rather than to identify the actual street number, we would identify the property on the block. For instance, on a Larkin Street between Sheldon and Willis, there's a vacation rental, and that should be within 300 feet of your home. So that should be sufficient to sort of put people on notice that if there's loud parties, if there's loud noises, and you think it's coming from the vacation rental, then go ahead and call this 800 number hotline, and hopefully that will kind of resolve the type of problem that raises. So that was the primary concern they had, I believe.
Yeah, I would say that John's accurately characterized what the complaints were from the operators or the VRBOs, and I think we addressed them holistically. I did see a couple more emails this week from folks that do this and some additional concerns they had, but as of last week, after we spoke to these individuals, I think that we haven't created too high of a regulatory bar. This is more of like a put people on notice in their neighborhood that this is going on, and us knowing that these are located, and that's about it.
And I'll just say this: I don't think our regulations, we don't set any, like a lot of cities will set regulations as to the maximum number of nights you may be allowed to rent your home. We don't do anything like that. So this should not cut into the marketability of the property. In other words, we don't limit the number of nights. We do have a limit on the number of people, but that's kind of a practical, a practical solution to potential problem with parking, noise, trash, and just overloading, city resources like water and sewer. Because as again, and this is not it's not science, but it's a general rule, people on vacation tend to create more trash, use more water, use more sewer, those kinds of things, because it's the nature of being on vacation a lot of times. So, so I believe I don't believe this regulation over-regulates vacation rentals. I think it's an appropriate level, appropriately measured out, and again, the intent is to provide a framework within which vacation rentals can coexist with single-family residential uses and multifamily residential uses. I know that Councilmember Wilcox had an issue with how to count people, and do you want to bring that up, or would you like me to?
I'd like to bring it
up.
Well,
okay. I still got one more question. Okay. Run by for me again. What are the fees if I was to establish a rental property here?
There'd be a business license required for vacation rental. There would be, and I believe our business license sort of scheme would say if you have 1 to 3 rental properties, vacation or otherwise, you need 1 business license. And if you have if you have 4 or more, then you would have to have 1 for each other one, 4 more units.
Well, if from 4 or more, you have to have 1 for each unit.
Right.
That
so
is
you'd have
mainly for residential rentals.
Most, again, unless you're some sort of conglomerate, a vacation rental operator may have 1 or 2 homes. You pay 1 business license fee of $35 a year plus a $100 application fee, and then the annual fee after that's $100. I think we need to, I really do, and then there was discussion under the building code. There is an inspection fee similar to our group home inspection fee of $435, which is basically a health and safety fee. With our community residences, we do that annually. That was the plan, to do that annually. I think with vacation rentals, I think that was the other issue we talked about, is that I think we do it one time. I don't think it's necessary because of the difference in the type of use. We're dealing with disabled or handicapped people, so we need to have kind of an ongoing health and safety inspection, fire inspection. With vacation rentals, I think it's a one-time type inspection to make sure that everything is at the proper level. To the extent that there's any additions or add-ons where people need, building permits and things like that, obviously that's just the same type of cost that you would have to have if you were doing it to a single-family residence. So the upfront cost is $135 plus whatever it costs for the inspection, and then an annual $135 after that. So again, vacation rentals generating anywhere from $100 to $200 a night in the city, give or take, for a 2-3 bedroom home. I mean, again, not lobbying, but I don't think the $135 is. the whole intent is cost recovery in that too. It's not a revenue generator. It's neutral.
It will help us offset the ratcheted up code enforcement and the implementation of this 1-800 number.
Okay. Councilwoman Wilcox?
Thank you. I have two concerns about what we've been presented. One is that we are unintentionally criminalizing vacation property owners who would like to rent to families with young children where the parents would like the kids to sleep in the same room with them, because we're limiting the number of overnight occupants to 2 people if there are no bedrooms, and 4 people if there's 1 bedroom. So if you have a family with several infant children, they really are not supposed to be renting these vacation homes. And having had young children and wanting to travel with them, you have to save a few bucks and you pile everybody in the same room. I don't think it's fair to send them off to Motel 6. I think they should have the same opportunity to rent a vacation home where they can have a kitchen, cook their meals, have a little extra space, maybe a living room and a yard. So I would like to see a definition of occupant or persons that is limited to age 13 and over. This would allow young children to share a room with parents if that's what they choose. And the second concern is, you're not going to believe I'm saying this, Jim. I think we're overreaching a bit with owner-occupied vacation rentals. If the owner is actually there, they're not going to allow the kind of nuisances that we're trying to control with this ordinance. They're not going to allow the noises and the garbage. They'll be taking care of that. And I think we should exempt owner-occupied. Also, requiring an inspection and bringing a single-family home up to code at a cost of $435 seems unreasonable to me for an owner-occupied single-family home.
Councilman Chiska.
Thank you, Mayor. Who is collecting the tax on these things?
Well, these would be state sales tax and the bed tax, or I'm sorry, the TPT and the bed tax would be collected through the state, right?
As of January 1.
Well,
and we're collecting it now.
Okay, but what I mean is, which organization is responsible for sending the city the sales tax? Is the city responsible to go get it, or is that VRBO and Airbnb's responsibility?
The state law, I believe, allows Airbnb and those type of entities to report in whole, with individual property owners reporting, but showing a deduction for those amounts reported through an Airbnb or other agency. So it was contemplated in the law that the legislature passed.
So it could be the owner, the license holder is going to be the owner. So if the Airbnb or if the online service that the owner uses, and more than likely they use more than one, if those online operators fail to report and send in the sales tax, it still goes back to the owner. That's usually the agreement. That's the agreement they have. So we would go after the owner, not the online sort of operator, because the owner or operator is the one that gets the TPT license. But as Mark was saying, it would allow, the state law would allow the online operator, the VRBO or Airbnb, to actually send it in on the owner's behalf.
On the owner's behalf. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And it gets tied to that tax license.
And when Gene was talking about owner on premises, or not owner on premises, but owner occupied. Would the owner have to be there the entire time?
Honestly, I don't know how common that is. It may be. I think if you want, it is a council prerogative or policy decision if you wanted to adopt those exemptions. I don't think it's illegal or discriminatory to exempt out sort of somebody who might rent a bedroom as a vacation rental room. But we have to be careful because we have our zoning. This is really for vacation rentals, not like a bed and breakfast type operation. Those would be subject to different zoning requirements. So frankly, I'm not familiar with that type of use. Perhaps they exist, and if the council chose to sort of exempt those out as a sort of infrequent, small-time person who wants to rent a room every now and again, certainly that's your prerogative. As is the prerogative to, to limit to impose the occupant limit on persons 13 years and older. That is certainly something you could do, so as to. And I know Councilwoman Wilcox's email talked about sort of trying to maybe shift the market to younger or shift the marketing to some younger families, and that may be our limit may be maybe limiting to younger families who have many kids. I can see that logic. It's really up to the council to if you wanted to do that. And again, I think the biggest concern, impact-wise, from vacation rentals is the proverbial party. The adults drinking out loud, loud on an outdoor deck or back patio or something like that. With noise, late time music, and cars. If there's 2 or 3 families, coming in, and oftentimes, like in the downtown area, sometimes there is no off-street parking in front of the home. You have to park on the street, and vacation rentals oftentimes sort of cluster into a home that may not fit. So it's for parking purposes, it's for noise purposes, it's for garbage and trash and sort of utility impacts. So I can see the rationale of talking about occupants as those persons 13 years and older, because the 12 and younger probably aren't going to create the sort of same impact we're concerned with. So I see the logic to it. It's really up to you all.
I guess, if somebody while they're on vacation, wants an 11-year-old in their bedroom, then I think they've got problems. But
I actually think both exemptions that Councilwoman Wilcox brought up make this a better ordinance. I think it's more fair and equitable, and I think it actually is helping people rent out their places without quite as many bars to get over.
Councilwoman Orr?
Yeah, well, I'm not real happy with the overreach of state telling us we have to do this. I do think that this ordinance will make a positive statement of vacation rental, because it will certainly generate more money. I think it also respects private property rights, which I think that's something we all want to do. If you're in a neighborhood that has CC&Rs, this isn't going to affect that neighborhood at all.
Right.
Right? And so I do think that there's a positive side to this. I like the exemptions that Jean has brought up, and I also like the way that we've tied this to the same as the sober living. So the exemption,
it's very, very close.
Yes, and I think that's important that we rationalize that. And so under the age of 13, Jean? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Or not? Yeah, I
13
think
and over would
13
be a
and over.
person.
Sure.
The definition.
Well, and I agree with Steve. Yeah. So I think it's good, John. I think you've done a good job.
And I think, to get sideways, but just to be clear, that this paragraph L in 496 says the use of vacation rental should not violate any applicable conditions, covenants, or other restrictions. So, right, so there is that restriction. And I think if what Councilmember Wilcox is talking about is oftentimes you might pile 6 kids into a bedroom if there's 4 kids into a bedroom if there's 2 bunk beds, which in this case, under the strict reading of this ordinance, that wouldn't be allowed. So I don't think that's an impractical answer to do something like that, or having fold out couch and a bed, or so you have 3 or more kids. Whereas you probably don't. I mean, most people probably don't put 4 adults and 2 bunk beds in a bedroom. I mean, get Petit's own. I don't judge.
Yeah. Whatever floats your boat.
You done? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks. This is an overreach on private property as far as I'm concerned. Nobody has a right to be a nuisance. Simply because you buy a piece of property doesn't give you the privilege of being a nuisance to everybody else in the neighborhood. I would much rather see an ordinance that makes it punitive for people that are nuisances or using their properties in a nuisance way. But to try and tell somebody you can't rent your private property unless you do it by my rules, I find that kind of wrong. I don't think that's a righteous way to approach a problem. It's almost like wanting to make anybody who wants to use their private automobile for an Uber car pay the city a fee because they have an Uber car. And I think that's an overreach too. We're going to tax you because you're using your car to make a living, and so we're going to do that. And you know, we really stepped on our big toe, so to speak, with this business license thing. We found a cash cow that we want to chase to all ends to go after people to get money. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. If you want to go after people for allowing their house to be a nuisance, that's a different issue by me. But if you just want to go after them to get money because they're using their house, I have a problem with that.
Any other questions, comments from the council? Any from the public? Do you have a motion?
Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 5013-1551.
With the changes that
Yes,
had
with
been
the two
proposed.
exemptions.
That ordinance is the change to the land development code, so there's no...
Okay, so it wouldn't be this
Okay,
one.
sorry. Then I move to adopt ordinance number 5014-1552.
Well, first of all, you got to do the first one, 5013-1551.
That's what I just did.
Right. And,
We have to vote on.
But without amendments, though.
Oh, without
Right,
amendments.
and then you need to vote on that one.
And then we amend it?
We'll amend the second ordinance. There's two ordinances.
Gotcha. Okay, now I got it.
So
Thank you.
who's the second for the?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Passes 3-2. I'm sorry, 4-2. Mayor, Councilman Blair and Mayor Pro Tem Lamerson dissenting.
Second motion. A move to adopt ordinance number 5014-152 with the amendments that Jean suggested with regard to over the age of 13.
Defining person as anyone over the age of 13.
Okay. And then exempting owner-occupied.
Single family. home.
Single family.
So just for tactical clarification, we'll amend the definition of vacation rental to exclude vacation rental of owner-occupied homes. And under
the number
496B, which sets the occupant load, we will make clear that the number of persons would be persons 13 years of age and older.
I got a question. Is that owner occupied or owner on the premises?
Well, I intended it to be owner on the premises.
Okay.
Okay, we can use that terminology.
Okay.
Owner residing at the premises.
There you go. They don't have
That's
to be
what
there
your intent.
24/7,
Yes.
but they're there.
Right.
Okay, did we get them all?
Yes.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Passes 4-2. Councilman Blair and Mayor Pro Tem Lamerson dissenting.
And Mayor, my no vote is strictly because I believe it was an overreach of the state to tell me that I live in a neighborhood, not in a controlled situation like you do, where they're treating different people differently. And my house is not as important as somebody in a homeowners association neighborhood. So from my standpoint, they're going to put businesses next to me, and I think it's a pile of crap. So that's my no vote.
Okay, thank you. Well, like I say, I always like to end up our voting meetings with a couple of quotes from our founding fathers. Tonight there will be two of them. Benjamin Franklin, this is in relation to voting. It's something you might think about. Democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for lunch. Liberty is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote. That was by Benjamin Franklin. Abraham Lincoln said, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.